Board of Adjustment regular meeting, April 9, 2026. Are there any citizens who would like to engage in a general discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the approval of minutes from March 12, 2026, which have already been disseminated. Do I hear a motion?
I move we approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mary.
Second.
All right. Any discussion, any friendly amendments or edits?
No.
All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. I'll sign them after the meeting. Okay. Let's move on to the regular agenda. We have an application to hear V966B 5B. Please, Mr. Killen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Mr. Lee Bristow, representing Summer Moon Equity LP, is requesting a variance from section 154.13G1 relating to a landscape buffer for property located at 957 Fry, parcel 32202, being block 1, lot 2B of the Kite second addition to the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. Mr. Bristow approached the board last month and had a variance request for a landscape buffer variance. He was looking at, I believe, a 12.5. He was looking at a reduction on the landscape buffer last month, and what he has done is come back with the ability to provide a larger landscape buffer than what he originally requested.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is asking for still asking for a reduction, but not as significant as what he was looking for last month. Mr. Bristow and I spoke briefly about his site plan, and we have a site plan that we received today that's uploaded into your packet. Thank you for having that ready. This is a flag-shaped lot, and as you know, variance requests are granted based on the configuration of the lot, especially on exceptional narrowness. One thing about this flag-shaped lot is if you look at the front portion of the lot, that is where his parking will be for his building. If we consider the width of the throat of that frontage there on Fry Street, that's a total frontage of 76 feet. If we require the 20 foot on both sides of that because he has adjacent residential lots to this portion of his property, that would take 40 feet of the 76 foot that he has available. That would greatly reduce the amount of parking that we'd have when you consider the turn radius to enter and exit out of the parking spaces to gain access back onto Fry Street. So that is part of the reason behind the request. Looking at his site plan where the building is in the dark gray, on the back, he did confirm that he can meet the landscape buffer for the back of the property, and he can do a little larger landscape buffer on the sides where the building is actually located. And then on the front portion, I believe it's lot 930, address 930, which will be the bottom right-hand side of your screen. He believes he can actually meet the buffer on the back side of their property. And then along the edges, he can provide some landscape buffering for the parking. And I believe he also has another mechanism that he thinks he could present to the board that might make this a little more palatable to the adjacent properties. So with that, Mr. Chair, if you have any questions of me, I'd be glad to answer those. I know Mr. Lee Bristow is here to provide some additional input, and I know that Mr. King is wanting to address the board as well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think, did you mean 939 West Fry?
Believe that, yes, sir, that may, I'm getting to where I have a harder time reading those numbers on some of
I
these
just
site
want to make
plans.
sure that we were talking about the same block.
Yes, sir.
It's lot 3, block 1.
That is,
Yeah.
that looks right. Yes, sir.
Very good. All right. Any questions from the board for Mr. Keller? Mr. Bristow, if you'd come up, introduce yourself, please, and we'll let you
Good to see you all again.
Yes.
I am Lee Bristow. representing Summer Moon Homes or equity on this property. To go off what Steve was talking about, we had conversations. We are planning to do a privacy fence along the entire perimeter, as well as do implement some evergreens and boxwood shrubs to even make that even greater, to where there is a visual difference and a border around, to where there's no negative implications on neighbors.
So if you were to just point out, like, you're saying that the box
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Would be
on
right
both
on
sides,
that
the east
side.
and west side.
right there, yeah,
Entire,
okay.
yes, sir.
And even on the back, or
And
no?
on the back, yes, they've already privacy fenced from about here over,
Mm-hmm,
and then the rest, the whole, back fence line is fenced as well.
yeah,
So really just adding perimeter fencing from here down and on that side as well,
okay,
this far side.
very good. All right, any questions for Mr. Bristow from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
What percentage of your gross site area will be devoted to the open space?
It'll be,
That
Right.
doesn't include your parking lot
right,
or sidewalk?
right, it maps out to about 25 to 30%.
So ultimately, the request is for a variance of how many feet on that buffer there? Here, is it, you're going to 7.5
Yes, sir.
on each side, so that's
Yes, sir.
15, but what would it would normally be 40? So we're asking
Right.
for, you're asking for a, over a 20.
Yeah, a reduction of 12 and a half feet.
12.5 feet
Yes, sir.
At maximum, anywhere around the
On either
perimeter.
side.
on either side, yes.
And the previous one was 15.
Well, yeah, reduction of 15 foot, yes, sir. And really, that really just pertains to the parking lot area. On the back, again, we're meeting the 25% or 20-foot buffer on the rear.
Mm-hmm,
Then the sides, this west side will be 12 and a half feet, and then the east side will be about 10,
okay,
a little over 10, but yeah.
all right. Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you so much, Mr. Risto. Just sit tight, we've got maybe some more questions coming. Should Mr. King's comments be part of the public hearing, or?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing for application number V9665B. Mr. King, I know you're here to speak about this request. Could you come up and introduce yourself and let us know what's on your mind?
Jason King, City Manager. I wanted to provide some context today to the board. And the board may or may not be aware that this property was recently rezoned to multifamily, specifically for this project. And so staff has worked with the developer throughout the planning and zoning process as it went through there, and then worked with our city council. And so both planning and zoning and council was aware of the intended use of the property, the site plan, the density, all of those things. It just, the way the ordinances lie
Yeah.
for this particular issue, it has to come before the board. But certainly staff has no objection to the request from the developer. And again, as it went through the process, this particular piece of it's not a surprise to anybody. It just, those things couldn't be handled through the zoning process or the approval of the land use by council, because it's a relief from the standard. It has to come through this body. And so I just kind of wanted to provide that context to the board that while it's a new project for the developer, the whole thing has kind of been reviewed at multiple stages, and probably from normal waiver request has had a lot more scrutiny on it than most processes or most requests, because it had to go through the P&Z process and the council review process for other reasons before it got to here. So I just wanted to make sure the board was aware of all of that context. So, thank you.
Yep, thank you. So before you go, so I just have one comment or question, and that is, so from the city standpoint, you guys are aware of this reduction in the request?
Yes.
And that must have been like maybe a positive? I mean, you're supportive, I think, of the, in terms of cooperating with some, you know, like Summer Moon Equity, and so it looks like this is going in that direction.
I think if the city had objection
It
to
wouldn't.
the project,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have seen the change in the land use
Okay.
to accommodate. And again, when it came before P and Z and council, the density, the number of units that are going in there, all those things
Yeah.
were part of the discussion. We didn't specifically discuss a landscape
Mhm.
standard.
Yeah.
But certainly the density and what the developer was gonna do with it, that was what was most germane
Sure.
to that conversation.
This is helpful, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. King. All right, is anyone here else from the community here to speak for or against this request? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, and I'll entertain a motion regarding application number V9665B.
I move to approve application V
9665B.
99665B.
Thank you very much. Do I hear a second? I'll second it. Do we have any discussion?
A question for the city representative. The 13G is one, as it's written, says that the landscape buffer of 20 feet will be required along any property line abutting a RE, RHA, R1, R1.5, R2, R3, and B3 residential district, correct? So this request is for a reduction to 7.5 feet from the required 20 for every side, every property line that abuts, basically all of the touching properties, because they're all residential, correct?
Correct.
So if we pass this as it's written, he doesn't even have to do the 20 foot at the back or on the sides like he's saying he may or may not have room for. Am I reading that correctly?
Well, as we just spoke into the record of this meeting, and I believe Mr. Bristow agreed that he can meet the barrier at the back of the property. He can meet the barrier at a certain point on the remainder of the perimeter, but for the areas that he cannot meet that, he's asking for a maximum of 7.5 foot reduction.
Right, and in the background information
Or
that's given,
12.5 foot
it does say,
reduction.
as reflected in the attached site layout. Is that the one that we were given?
It's the one that's in the packet, yes, ma'am.
The one that's in the packet or the one that we were given as we sat down today?
It's in the packet. It went into the packet this afternoon around 3 o'clock. So if you haven't seen it since
No,
that time.
That's what I have right in
Okay.
front of me. But that's why I'm asking for clarification, because what's in the packet is not what we were handed. And there's no distinction on the layout in the packet that shows, like, especially the barrier between the back of Lot 3, Block 1, 939 West Fry, and what would be the front of some of these apartments. There's nothing showing that he's gonna put that 20-foot barrier in there. So my concern is, unless he's restricting it to, is it the orange highlighted part?
No,
That's-
ma'am, that was from March. A new site plan was finished today by the architect and submitted this afternoon. It was uploaded into the packet, and so it's
Can you just scroll
available
to that, please?
in the packet.
And
So
So
this
is that
is-
what we have before us then?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to go on a separate document, or do you want the?
You can pull up the one that I sent to you, just as safeguard measure. Thank you, James. So on the back of the property, you can see the back building line is 25 feet. Mr. Bristow confirmed that he could do the 20-foot buffer at the back. The building setback on the sides, where the building is actually located, he mentioned is 12.5 on the west side, I believe, and 10 on the east side,
And 10,
which he can
so-
provide the landscape buffer for.
So
As
he's,
it protrudes up towards the parking area, to allow for the parking, adequate parking for this building, he can still meet the 7.5. And then, as he indicated, he will also be providing a privacy fence around the perimeter for the areas that it doesn't already exist, which it does exist in some places, as he testified. Also, just to make sure that a question that you answered earlier, as relating to open space, Mr. Chair, if you will allow me to address that.
Please.
I believe where you may be headed with that is the 40% maximum, the maximum coverage for a lot, that 40% has to remain open space.
no, it was
And if
actually.
that's the
Not
case-
less than 15%, but I'm realizing, I realized after I asked that question that is not 13G1, which is what we're focused on.
But just for the board and for the general public, there was at one time a maximum coverage requirement in land use regulations. That was repealed a little over a year ago. Still shows up in some of the Municode ordinances because it hasn't been updated through that service provider as of yet. But that was repealed about a year ago.
So to alleviate your concern there, could we say, yeah, this variance is approved contingent on, it's going to only apply to these sections next to the parking lot, and that the other ones would have to meet the normal landscape buffer requirement?
Well, I think because of what was presented, or what has been updated to, and handed to us today, and it reads landscape buffer requirement as reflected in the attached site layout. I'm reading on here, it says on the right-hand side, it says 10-foot building setback, and on the left-hand side, it says, my eyes are
I
like
think that's what
this.
he
I see
verbally
where
said.
you're, yeah.
It's
He stated that.
also a 10 or, it looks like another 10-foot building setback. So it looks like it's not being met on the sides of the building either. And there's no notation at the front between the back of Lot 3, Block 1 of any kind saying what the buffer would actually be right there. And he's saying maybe he can meet that, but there, like I said, there's no notation there. So in my opinion, that leaves this, the way that it's written, it leaves it open to interpretation. I'm not comfortable passing it the way that it's written.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Please.
perhaps the board would feel comfortable if the approval language stated as presented, and staff will use Mr. Bristow's testimony to make sure that that is what is addressed during the site plan approval.
I'm comfortable with that. Are you comfortable with amending your motion?
Certainly, yeah.
So the understanding is that the motion is to approve the request based upon the site plan and the presentation made today in the meeting, that basically is asking for a reduction to 12.5 feet on both sides of this narrower entrance part where their parking lot is, but the rest of it would be as it is presented right there.
He stated 10 feet on the sides.
10 feet on the sides and 20 feet on the back.
Do I need to repeat all that?
I don't think
That's
so.
what we got it logged.
And I seconded, but Mr. Gillen, am I restating it correctly? I think.
Mr. Chairman, staff would be comfortable with what was just read, and we will assure the board that we will work with Mr. Bristow and our plan review team to make sure that those distances are met.
Okay.
And shrubs. He promised landscaping as well to kind
Yeah,
of break it up.
I heard box shrubs and some cedar.
Yeah, evergreen.
Evergreens.
It is a condition.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign,
Aye.
and no abstentions. So it didn't pass 3-1. All right, so there's nothing else on our agenda. We'll go ahead and I'll move that we adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, board.